Hello ladies, happy Tuesday. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Tuesday evening. Tonight we are going to talk about stretching. And this is a pretty important topic, especially for us ladies. And it's pretty near and dear to my heart too, because there's a lot of people that don't do this exactly correct and put themselves at more risk for injury and make themselves have longer recoveries, make themselves potentially even have joint issues, other muscle issues. Like it's a pretty hot topic in the terms of fitness world. What all we're supposed to do when we feel tight, what all we're supposed to do whenever we want to recover faster. So I wanted to go over some of these main points to help kind of steer you in the right direction. Because as I said, there's a lot of old science or a lot of old ideas that science has discredited now, but the knowledge isn't out there. And this is for a lot of the things that I talk about, that you guys just don't know it yet because it's not mainstream enough yet. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to go over tonight, was how to make it more mainstream and for you guys to share it with other people. So, is stretching good for you? When should you stretch? Well, one of the first things to think about is what's happening and what's going to happen and what stretching does. So stretching in and of itself, you are putting your muscle on tension. You're also putting your tendons, so your muscle, so if I think about my bicep, I have my muscle, and then what attaches my muscle to my bone is a tendon. Muscle to bone, tendon. And so as I stretch, I'm putting tension through my tendon, my bone tendon unit, tendon itself, tendon to muscle unit, through the muscle, same thing on the other side. Muscle to tendon, tendon unit, tendon to bone. And that's in and of itself what a stretch is. You are putting a tensile stretch, a stress through that area, through that thing. Think about like a rope attaching me to like a doorknob. I'm putting tension on that. I'm putting stress through it. Now, what happens when we want a muscle to work? When that happens, when I want to contract a muscle, it really is just that. I'm contracting it. You have these things in your muscle called sarcomeres. And what they do is they overlap each other and they grab onto each other and they contract. And that's what shortens your muscle, aka now the point between my shoulder and my forearm, where my bicep attaches to, now gets shorter and my forearm moves. I do a bicep curl. Now, that is also putting tension through the muscle to tendon, tendon to bone unit. It's making my muscle, however, do the exact opposite of the stretch. This goes into what you're doing next after you stretch, or what you're getting ready to do. If you're getting ready to do a workout, you do not need to stretch before you do it. If you're in the middle of a workout, you do not need to stretch while you are there. Let me repeat myself. Stretching puts length through the muscle. Whenever you contract it, you make it shorter. And so in essence, what you're doing is you're turning the muscle off when you stretch a muscle before you start working. Does that make sense? Isn't that crazy? I remember whenever I was in high school, we go out before soccer games, and that's what we do. We line up in this circle and we'd stretch, every single one of us. Does this all make sense to you guys? We were doing this stretch routine before we were going to go play, but it was actually setting us up for more injuries. If my muscle is not as strong after I stretch, then I'm not going to be able to utilize it. I'm not going to be able to make it work. So when you're thinking about stretching, you never want to do a static hold stretch before you're working out and in the middle of your workout. So if you stop on your bike and you're like, oh, my quads are tight, let me stretch them real quick, you're actually decreasing the strength that your quad will be able to give you afterwards. They've done studies, Of some, it's like 10% loss of strength. Other times, it's more like 20% loss of strength in that particular muscle. Jumping tests, just a leg extension test, or like bringing your knee out. Like all of those decrease your ability to activate the muscle fully. And so whenever you're getting tight hips or you're getting tight quads during the actual exercise, that it's not actually a good thing for you to stretch it. It's not actually something there. You can do a dynamic stretch for it, where it's like a quick stretch. So if you want to do like butt kicks to help get more blood flow through that, if you want to like rub on your thigh a little bit, you can do that, more foam rolling-esque, but not a stretch in the middle of it. You're leading yourself to more injury and also less ability for you to use your muscles. I see people doing it all the time, and it hurts my heart, because I know that they're doing it because that's their solution that they've been told. That's the solution that they found, is that, oh, I'm starting to get tight in this muscle, I'm starting to get sore in this muscle, let me stretch it. And that doesn't help your case. That doesn't help you with the rest of your ride, doesn't help you with your hip tightness. A lot of times that's us needing to listen to our body to figure out how else we need to figure out how to load it. That means we're putting too much stress and strain through one region. Like, not that we need to work all of our muscles together. Paloma says, interesting, it would be better to pedal a bit than go back and forth to do some mobility stretches. Yeah, so like do some dynamic things, not just sit there and hold like a quad stretch or hold like a hip flexor stretch whenever you're riding. It's better to like do some leg swings, do some butt kicks, things that activate opposite and opposing muscle groups, so neurologically you make those muscles relax a little bit. And I can go into that another time too. I talk about this in some of the team stuff. Carol makes you feel better about not stretching. That's spectacular. So now let's get into what we do directly afterwards. So if we are looking directly after our ride, directly after a workout, that's a perfect time to stretch. What's happening is that you have tension in your muscles. You're wanting them to chill out. You're wanting them to not have to work as much. And so you can do some gentle stretching then. You can do some gentle things for it. Also, what some of your stretching does is it doesn't just pertain to the muscle. We think of stretching and we think, oh, I'm just working the muscle group. I'm just stretching the muscle. Well, we have a shitload of joints. Like if I stretch my bicep out like that, I'm stretching my elbow. If I stretch and move my hip back more so to do like a hip flexor stretch, I'm getting some focused in on my hip joint too. Like all of these things, we have joints that correlate over. That's why we have muscles, are to move the joints. It's to make sure I can move my elbow. I have control over that. But the joint itself will have some feedback as well. You have all these things in our body that send signals back up to our brain about what's happening. And so stretching directly afterwards not only helps the muscle, but it also helps the joint. And that's why you look at things into what do I need to do for my body? What am I setting up to do? What am I looking at up next? So stretching directly after a workout is perfect. Now, hardcore, really intense stretching after a workout, probably not the best for you. Nice, gentle, easy, going through some motions, more fluid type stretching, holding for like 20 to 40 seconds, perfect. Really hammered in like, oh, I feel my hamstrings. Oh, let me just really stretch my hamstrings now. I'm really going to dig into them. Like, probably not the best. Also, there's better hamstring stretches out there than that one, so don't hold me to that. But doing it directly afterwards, perfect. Now, if you're really, really sore after workout, like the day after, you can do some very gentle stretching then. It doesn't actually help you recover better if you do a lot of intense stretching then. So what happens whenever you're really sore is that you've made little micro tears in your muscle. You've made these things, your body has to heal. And it takes time. It just does. Healing takes time. You need to listen to your body. You need to recover well. One thing that you can do is foam roll. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because foam rolling is amazing. It's great for our bodies. But if we are really, really sore through our legs, through our body, really, really hardcore stretching it, it's not going to help you. You're putting that tension stress, that tensile stretch through those micro tears. Probably is not going to help them, right? It's like if you had an open wound on your forearm and you just like put extreme tension through that. It's probably going to bust open and bleed again, right? And so why would I want to put that load through my muscles if I have little micro tears? It doesn't make as much sense, but it is what we've been told to do in the past. That's why it's so hard to do something different. Plus, sometimes it turns off the pain. It doesn't make it quite as sore if you get a good stretch into it. And that's through different aspects of how our body listens to pain and listens to our body. It's going to feel the tension instead of feel the pain. It runs on a different fiber up to your spinal cord, up to your brain. Gate control theory, that's for another day. But that's why it can feel different and almost feel better, like you want to stretch. But it's not helping you to recover any quicker. It's not giving you anything to speed up healing, to speed up recovery for it. Staying hydrated, making sure that you have all your electrolytes that you need, lots of other things play a role into it, as well as increasing the blood supply. Stretching doesn't usually increase your blood supply. It usually decreases it. You're closing down on a lot of those blood vessels. It doesn't make them open anymore if you put tension through it. Closes it down. So you're like, well, Liz, the only time you told me that I should stretch is directly after a workout. Yes, that's exactly right. Now, you can on other off days to work on more flexibility, work on more mobility in your body, stretch. It's perfect for you. But it's not an essence of a relatability within your workout or within your soreness. It's that you want to work on some of your flexibility as a whole. Does that make sense? Just comment yes if this makes sense. Is this new information to y'all? Is this different from what you've been told before? A lot of times it is for people whenever I start talking about this. I see a lot of people with muscle strains and because they've stretched before their workout. Now, one thing to do before you do your workout is a dynamic warm-up and foam rolling. It's so good for you. Foam rolling helps increase blood supply, helps bring more tension, more awareness, gets the muscle ready to go. And that's what you want. Like, you want more blood there. You want more stuff. So when you're thinking about warming up, think about your dynamic warm-up. You want the muscle to activate. You want the muscles that you want to recruit later to already be ready to work. You want your glutes to work for riding more so. You want your glutes to work. You want your quads to work. You want your calves to work. You want your core to work. And so all of these things you want to warm up. You want to activate. You want to foam roll before you start going. And it's why I have a specific warm-up routine for mountain bikers so you can do it in a parking lot. And that's how you get more of these muscles going. So doing these has shown to increase your max output for your muscles. And so you actually get stronger when you do this dynamic warm-up versus when you just go for it. You get weaker if you do static hold stretching before you go and do it. And so that's why dynamic warm-ups, you see like on the soccer players, they go run across the field, they do butt kicks. Other people, like swimmers, are doing more of this, like versus just hold and stretch. Like you see people move as they're getting ready to do stuff, not just let me hold this stretch and hold that stretch for 30 seconds. Making sure you're doing some of these things to get your body warmed up and ready to go. Or if you have a longer gravel climb, like that's easy out of the parking lot, use that for it. Stand up and pedal a little bit. Get your body warmed up. Move it. Think about diving into your core, making sure it's working for you. Using a little bit more quads for a bit. Using a little bit more glutes and hamstrings for a bit. Moving your body around on the bike. Doing some like little corners and turns as you're starting to get ready on the bike as you're going down that gravel road. Like doing some of these things so your body gets warmed up with how you want it to. Ricky, you always foam roll afterwards and don't think about it before. It is amazing the difference that you'll feel. You'll be ready to do more of your workout if you do it before. Now, these are strength stuff. These are strength training exercise workouts, not necessarily just an easy motor control, easier ride, like that you're going to go and get after it a bit. Okay? This is why you do these things before your workout or before those. Now, we didn't talk a whole lot about this, but some people can talk about shortening or lengthening of a muscle. Most of the time, if you feel tight in a specific area, it's that you are guarded through there to a certain extent. Or you've gone through and all you do is sit. You sit at work all day, you sit at home at night, you go ride your bike, like then your hips will get pretty tight. Or if you are dominant towards one area of your body. So if you always use your quads all the time for everything, and you know who I'm talking about out there, then foam rolling and doing a little bit more stretching to your quads is probably going to be necessary. If it's your back, then it is not necessary and there are other things going on. So now let's bring into what areas that we actually probably should be stretching for our joints and which ones we should not be. And also talk about hypermobility. So I don't know about you guys, if you guys know, but I myself am hypermobile. What that means is that my ligaments that hold my bones together, that lash me together in my body and some other things, are more stretchy. So instead of them being, like if you think about tying down a kayak on top of your car, think about tying on your bike. So instead of it being like a sturdy strap that's holding it there on the bike rack, or like that ratchety system that's like stable, instead, if you're hypermobile, then you have more like bungee cords, rubber bands. Now think, how stable is that bike on there? Now think, do I need to stretch those bands? Do I need to make it more flexible? Or are other things trying to compensate because I'm built like that? And a lot of times, especially for us ladies, it's that other things are trying to compensate because we are built more flexible. Women naturally are more flexible. We naturally need more strength than we do flexibility. Let me say that again. We naturally are more flexible. So we naturally need more strength than flexibility. And you're like, Liz, I'm tight all the time. I'm tight. I just need to stretch. Like I just feel tight. I'm like, well, can you like bend over and almost palm the floor? Well, yeah. Can you twist and do a lot of these other movements? Can you sit with your legs up underneath of you and feel good? Do you like it whenever you lean against objects in a house or hate standing in the middle of the room? Do you like it whenever you sit in the middle of the couch versus on the ends? All of these things, if you like to lean against stuff, if you hate to stand in the middle of the room, then you need more stability. You're trying to get stability and other things from inanimate objects. Believe me, I'm one of them. It's the reason why I'm sitting like this, talking to you. It's because I get stability when my body is more tight, aka when I've stretched out some of those ligaments. It's better for me to sit like this and to use my muscles. But guilty as charged, I don't always do that right. And so making sure that you are getting the strength that you need, but not stretching out of it too much. And so if you are hypermobile, if your body needs stability, but it feels tight, then you don't need to stretch. You need to strengthen. You need to make sure that you get the smaller muscles that need to get stronger. Working your core, not working your hip flexors. Making sure that your back and your body, your trunk, your shoulder blades are strong. Like, that is a key component of your total body health. How you will feel on the bike, how you're able to hold your posture on the bike. If you are hypermobile, if you are more flexible, or you tend to trend in that category, probably stopping stretching would be one of the best things for you, and starting strengthening. That's why I built the core crushers, was for a lot of people out there that had more tight hip flexors, that had tight low back, that thought they just needed to stretch that, but they actually need core strength. It's the same thing for the team. It's the application of all these things put together. It's making sure that you get that strengthening in, that because you need it. Your body does, especially if you're tight all the damn time. I don't know how many conversations I've had with how many different women about this, but it's been a lot. And every time, as soon as they gain more strength, they're like, oh, Liz, I feel so much better. I don't feel like I need to stretch all the time. I'm like, I know, it's because you don't. Like, your muscles are stronger holding you together versus your muscles just guarding and tightening up to try to hold your body together. Like, that's what we need, is our body to be stronger for ourselves. And so if you are hypermobile, you probably don't need to stretch as much. Now, directly after a workout, go for it. Stretch it up, girl. But you also want to think about what joints may tighten up in relevance to your hypermobility, aka your upper back. Right here. And so just because I don't want you to stretch your muscles and some joints does not mean that I don't need you to stretch certain parts of your body, because that's where you will get tighter in. That's where you'll get stiff, actually. Your joints of your upper back will get stiff. And so making sure you're mobile through here, through this section where your rib cage is, that's where if you were tight through there, and this goes for everybody even, if you're tight in your upper back, you'll put more stress on your shoulders. If you're tight in your upper back, you'll put more stress on your neck and on your low back, because all three of these are joints that need and want stability. I don't have any ribs in my neck. That's why I get tight there all the time. I don't have any ribs in my low back. That's why I need to be strong so I don't get tight there. That's why my shoulder blades and my shoulders need to be strong, because they're not as stable. I have a lot of movement in these places. And if I have more movement, then I have less stability inherently. So if you are more flexible, your upper back, you probably need to mobilize. Not necessarily stretch, but I say mobilize, aka because we're working more so on the joints. And it's, again, that'd be a good warm up, because you can do it with a foam roller, you can do it with other tennis balls, and it's a movement in and out. Let me know if you need exercises for some of that. I have a great YouTube video that I talk about neck issues, and it's all about upper back stretches. I'll just shoot you that YouTube video for it. But it's super important for that area. But any of the recovery things that I have for the team, it talks about foam rolling, it talks about making sure that you're getting that part of your body moving and mobile, because it affects so many different other things. So we talked a lot in this one, and it's a lot of new information for a lot of people. Basically, the main time that I want you stretching is directly after a workout, or if you're working on general flexibility, other times in your life. Not necessarily for really, really sore ass muscles, because it's not going to help you recover more. It's actually going to probably impede that. Not before you work out. That's whenever you want to do a dynamic warm-up, foam rolling, and definitely not in the middle of your exercise. Not in the middle of your workouts, because you're putting yourself at risk for injury. You're not helping that muscle be able to function better. If you are stretching or feel the need to stretch in the middle of your workout, that's when you need to reach out to me. Like, let's figure out what we need to do for your body. Let's make your butt work more. Let's make your core work more. You need to do some intervention exercises to make sure you're not stressing different parts of your body so you stay healthy. Don't think there's anything else. Oh, and then hypermobility. If you are more hypermobile, then stretching probably isn't the best general option for you. You can do it directly after a workout. It's the perfect time to do it, depending on your level of hypermobility. And then making sure that you're getting your upper back moving. That's a specific area that you need more stretching. You need more movement through there. And again, if you need that upper back video, let me know. Just say upper back exercises, stretches, whatever below. And then just let me know if this was helpful. Was this new information? Is this going to change how you're functioning, how you ride, how you warm up? And let me know if you want that dynamic warm up. For those in the team, it's in the general mobility area of the climb crushers. That's where it's located. And if you have the core crushers, that's where it's located as well. It's in that warm area, that general mobility area. It's super simple, easy. And I should pop it onto my website too for you guys to sign up. All right, ladies, let me know if you have any questions. I hope this was great information for you and that it will help prevent issues, prevent injuries, and also give you different things to do and or different things that you're like, aha, I probably should be working on some of these other areas to strengthen, to control, so my body feels better. So my body doesn't stress itself in weird ways. So I can keep riding, I can keep doing the things that I love and feel better as a whole. All right. Bye, ladies.